Hi, I'm Dan Garrison with Fresh Start Funding.
And I'm Matt Hartley, also with Fresh Start Funding.
Welcome to our masterclass on the 5 shifts that you need to make to triple your bottom line revenue as a consumer bankruptcy attorney.
Yeah, let's talk about who this is for. This is for attorneys who want to be able to add revenue to their company. And so our goal here is we're going to show you how you can add at least $10,000 of revenue to your practice per month by making these 5 shifts.
Actually, it's possible that it might even be per week for some of you.
Yeah.
In the next 45 minutes, we're going to make you 4 promises. The first is that we're going to show you how to retain 25% more of the clients that you meet with, even if they don't have the money to pay your fees up front.
Yeah, we're going to show you how to eliminate price sensitivity because many of us have been caught in this downward spiral of dropping our prices to try to get more clients.
The third thing we're going to do is we're going to show you how to be a market leader and differentiate yourself from your competition and create value for your clients that will let you charge premium fees for your services.
Yeah, and lastly, we're going to show you how you can get paid up front even when your clients don't have cash.
So fundamentally, we're making a promise to you that today we're going to show you a step-by-step strategy to signing up more clients without spending any more on your marketing budget.
Yes, let me ask you this. If this sounds like you, do you feel like your competition is getting all the cases and you're getting less and less clients coming to you?
Are you spending sleepless nights wondering how you're going to attract more clients when most of us are facing all-time lows in filings in our districts?
Or how about this, losing clients to your competitors who are just charging less and less for their fees?
Yeah, that's frustrating knowing that your competition is less capable than you are, but is actually getting the clients. Do you talk to people every day who actually can't afford to hire you? They're literally too broke to file bankruptcy.
Yeah. Also, how about if you're spending too much time trying to collect money? So your clients are coming to you, they obviously don't have the money up front to pay you. You put them on an installment plan, and then you spend a lot of time chasing them, trying to get them to pay so you can get the case filed.
And then finally, do you dread having those, what we call layaway clients, come in and ask for a refund, leaving you with a ghost file, having to sort out how much work you actually did, when you first were engaged by them, whether they are actually owed any money back?
Yeah, we actually talk about this quite a bit because, in my practice, you get lots of clients. I mean, there's nothing worse really than a client showing up a year or two later asking you for a refund. First, you're trying to chase down the file. You're trying to find out for sure what they paid you. Then you have to find out if you already refunded them, because I have had situations where clients have come back for a refund more than once. And it's just kind of a headache.
Yeah. So the good news is that these are not actually the real problems. They're symptoms of the problem. The problem is that the current traditional method of consumer bankruptcy of insisting on being paid up front for your fees is a broken system. It doesn't work well for clients. It doesn't work well for attorneys, and it actually doesn't work well for the system either. And we'll talk about that more in a little bit here.
Yeah, so the key is going to be making some shifts in your practice. One is we want to show you how you can file more cases with truly less effort.
We're also going to show you how you can attract more prospective clients. Get those phones to light up with more calls, have your staff book more consultations for you so that you're getting in front of more people.
Yep. And stop competing on price. Compete on the things that are good. Compete on your ability, the benefits you're going to get to your client. Stop just worrying about the pricing of what it costs to get a Chapter 7 done when you're doing those initial consultations.
Yeah, that is a treadmill that goes one place, down. Mm-hmm. So we're also going to show you how every consult that you have, every prospective client will be able to afford to hire you.
Yep. Then also, it's time to stop being a collector and be an attorney. Because again, if you're trying to get your clients, potential clients, to pay you while they're still having all their financial problems, so you can get paid before you file the case, it creates lots of problems. So we're going to help you get rid of that as well.
Yeah. So real quickly, we'll tell you just a little bit about who we are. We're actually attorneys ourselves. Again, my name's Dan Garrison. I've been a bankruptcy attorney for going on 25 years. Started my career in big law. Owned my own firm for 10 years, doing both business bankruptcy and consumer bankruptcy. And I started Fresh Start Funding because I believe really strongly in making a fresh start affordable and accessible to everyone.
Yeah, and also, I guess, one surprise I like to always point out is that even though I look substantially younger than Dan, I've actually been practicing a lot longer than him. And so, but I had a similar background that I started out in the big firms as well. I was a partner at a couple big firms, but I found it very unsatisfying at the end of the day. And I wanted to help people. So I got into consumer bankruptcy, and I was able over time to grow up my practice. I was filing anywhere from 60 to even over 100 cases a month. And it was pretty easy after the recession, but I was able to continue to do it even as the cases were slowing down, the number of filings were going down.
I'll tell you the way he was able to do it is trial and error. And part of today's message is that you don't have to go through the same school of hard knocks education that Matt put himself through in order to figure this out, because we've distilled this down into 5 key shifts that you need to make in your practice. And they really come out of this experience that Matt had, seeing even his very large volume practice start to diminish as, that surge in filings after the recession slowed down, and ultimately, filings fell to all-time lows. Even a guy like Matt, who was filing upwards of 100 cases or more a month, saw a steep decline in his practice, and had to try and figure out why it was happening, what he could do to stop it.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've all seen this. I mean, I've had friends closing their practice. I mean, hopefully they're change their practice to something else if they can't figure out how to keep the filings up. But I have had friends close their bankruptcy practices, and that's not fun for anybody. But in terms of these shifts, though, I'll start with the most basic shift. I mean, we're all attorneys. We're trained in law firms, or in law school, and I guess law firms, to really understand the law, the details, be able to talk about it and talk about your preferences and your avoidance actions and stay lift motions, etc. But when consumers are coming in and they're having financial problems, they need to file bankruptcy, they don't want to know all those details. And if anything, it really kind of scares them. What they really want to do is they want someone to understand their situation and show them what can happen if they file bankruptcy. And by that I mean, show them the benefits. Let that consumer see what's it going to look like if they come to you and you file the bankruptcy for them, you put their financial problems behind them, help them understand how much better their life is going to be. Because it really, we forget sometimes when we do lots of cases, these people really, really have a lot of stress in their lives. They may be making decisions about not buying medicine or not buying food. They could be on the verge of losing, a house, or even a car, which means they can't go to work. Their lives oftentimes are really, really in bad shape, but you're the one who can help them. And that's why they came to you. And you can't forget that. So you really have to make sure they understand that if, they hire you and you file the bankruptcy, how much better their life's going to be. It's sort of the classic benefits of any kind of service or product that you're showing to somebody.
A lot of us fall into the trap of thinking that you have to show that you're smarter than your competition. And what really turns out to make the difference for consumers who come to you is compassion. The fact is that they know you're smart enough to handle their bankruptcy, or they probably wouldn't be in your office in the first place. But what differentiates you from your competition is focusing on their needs, showing compassion for their situation, and really getting to those pain points that they're experiencing and that they need relief from. So really focus more on the need and less about showing how smart you are.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the next shift really flows right from that.
Sure.
We want to get people out of what's called the sweat box, and I'll let Dan talk about that. But, the other shift you need to make is when people come in, so often they don't have the money to pay you. And so you're still putting off into the future this relief that they're looking for. And so what we're going to do is show you how you can get them filed right away, get their problems behind them, and make that one of the big benefits they have choosing you as their attorney.
Yeah, so that second shift, to put it very simply, is that you need to get your clients out of the sweat box today. Mm-hmm. Now, what do we mean by sweat box? Well, many of you probably already read this, but the Consumer Bankruptcy Project investigators who, every few years kind of look at the system and look how it's operating, published their most recent findings this year in the Notre Dame Law Review. And what they found is that debtors are languishing in what they call the sweat box longer than they ever have before. And as Matt noted, many of them are going without food, going without medical necessities. They're facing the loss of their homes. A lot of them are spiraling into deeper debt, even as they struggle to find a way out of the sweat box.
Or worse yet, they're burning through exempt assets. So maybe you have a 401k or something that absolutely is protected in the bankruptcy, but they instead are burning through that cash, trying to keep things going as long as they can because they can't file.
Yeah, and it turns out that the fresh start that bankruptcy promises is a combination of two things. One is getting that automatic stay and then ultimately getting the discharge from the debts. But it's also making sure that they do that soon enough that they've still got the resources, a little bit of exempt equity in their house perhaps, or some retirement savings, so that they can really make a bona fide start, at getting back on financially solid ground. So that second shift is really key. You have to figure out a way to get your clients out of the sweat box today. Not 6 months from now after they make a bunch of payments to you while they're still getting garnished, but today.
Yep. And so that brings up the third shift. The third shift is what we call our secret weapon. I mean, some of you may be familiar with this, but it's bifurcation. And all bifurcation is the word that the courts have chosen to describe when you split your case into pre-petition work and post-petition work. And the whole key to this is it allows you to collect post-petition fees for that post-petition work. So let me get into a little more detail. So basically, when you file a Chapter 7 case, what you're going to be doing is you're going to really be recognizing really the truth of how the cases work. You have work that you do before a case is filed. You have work that's done after a case is filed. And so what this does is you're going to have a pre-petition agreement and a post-petition agreement. Your pre-petition agreement is going to describe the basics of what you're going to do. And typically it's set up as an emergency or rush skeleton filing, whatever they call it in your jurisdiction. We're going to file basically the bare bones to get the case filed. So going to do your due diligence, make sure the client qualifies and deal with any kind of issues that may be in the case before you file. But it is going to be the minimum work to get the case going. And then after the case is filed, then you're into the post-petition arena. Then you have your client sign a second agreement, the post-petition agreement, which is for all the work they're going to be doing post-petition, and it allows you to collect those fees from your client after the case has been filed, which I'm sure if you think about it is great, because now that you filed the bankruptcy, the automatic stays in place, creditors aren't contacting your client, they aren't threatening to take things, your client's in a position where they can pay. And then we work with a company like us, or, we offer 12 months for your clients to make the payments. So whatever those fees are for post-petition, we're going to spread it out over 12 months, which makes it very affordable payments for your client.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that in a little more detail here in a couple of points. But before we move off of bifurcation, I think that the folks who are watching the webinar today generally fall into two camps. One is the camp of folks who are in an area where a large filer is already doing this, and you're curious how they're doing it and whether they can do it legally and ethically, and you're wondering, how you can start doing this yourself. The other group of folks that we typically run into are folks that, even though bifurcation has a foundation in the case law going back about 20 years, they just have really never heard about it, and this is a new concept. But the fact is that there is a foundation in the case law going back a couple of decades that allows you to structure engagements this way. And one of the things that we'll be happy to share with you after the webinar is more information about that case law so that you understand that courts have recognized this as a valid way to structure your engagement. More importantly, for the purposes of the moment, think about this in terms of things that happen in bankruptcy all the time. Let's just say you've got a person who comes to your office and they filed a bankruptcy pro se, so the case has been commenced and they've recognized that they're in over their head and they want to hire you to perform the rest of the post-petition services. So to deal with stay relief motions or a reaffirmation of a debt, to represent them at the 341 and see the case through to its conclusion. Nobody questions for a second whether or not a client can engage an attorney post-petition and whether they can pay for that attorney with their post-petition earnings or with exempt assets. Likewise, although it's usually a warning sign, sometimes you have clients come to your office that hired one attorney to file the case, became disenchanted with that attorney and decided that they want someone different to represent them. And there's no question that you can take on that case if you want to and get paid post-petition for your services. So, the idea that you split your engagement into a pre-petition piece with its own pre-petition engagement and a post-petition piece with a separate post-petition engagement agreement is actually really consistent with things that go on in bankruptcy all the time.
In fact, we recently wrote an article that was published in the ABI Journal, and we'd be happy to share a copy of that with you. It really gets into the detail of the cases and analyzes, what's been going on out there. And really, while we're talking about bifurcation, we should talk about, the most important things about bifurcation and doing it correctly is to make sure you're doing the disclosures. And by disclosures, it's disclosures to your client and it's disclosures to the court. So you're going to be making disclosures in your fee agreements with your client, and then your 2016 fee disclosure to the court. You're going to want to be outlining in that as well, so the judge understands exactly what you're doing with your fees, pre-petition and post-petition. It's all about disclosure.
And the beauty of this, we're going to talk about this in the fifth shift, which is having a turnkey solution to make this easy for you, is that we can provide all of that for you so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So the fourth shift has to do with pouring on the gas. So once you decide to make this fundamental shift in your practice, focus on your client's needs, get them out of the sweatbox today and adopt our secret weapon of bifurcation, then, how do you grow your practice? Well, you keep doing more and more of the same. When you're winning, you focus on continuing to win. So we're here also to help you figure out how to then leverage these secret weapons that we have for you into growing your practice. Leveraging those marketing dollars to bring more clients in the door, taking advantage of the fact that once clients get in your door and you have a solution that doesn't involve them paying for the bankruptcy up front, that they're more likely to engage you. And they're less likely to be concerned so much about whether the guy down the street is offering Chapter 7 for $100 less than you are.
Yeah.
So, what we see is this exponential increase in people's practices by offering zero down and post-petition payment terms so that folks can get relief today. And so that's the next shift, is really pouring on the gas once you make the first 4 shifts and leveraging these secret weapons into a way to really blow your practice up.
Yep. So I guess we move on to the 5th shift, which is what we call our turnkey solution. So what we mean by that is that we have everything you need to do this. So we have all the forms that you need. We have all the disclosures that you need. We'll help you. We'll give you advice on the changes you may need to do in your practice, whether it's from how you handle a consultation to how your staff processes the paperwork. We have everything you need to do that.
Yeah, and one of the promises that we made you at the beginning of this was that we were going to show you how to get paid up front even when your clients didn't have cash. So let's talk a little bit more about what Fresh Start Funding does. Fresh Start Funding provides financing to you so that you can offer zero down and post-petition payment terms to your clients, and you won't have to worry about how to pay your bills, pay your staff, take care of the day-to-day business that you have while you're waiting for those payments to come in the door. The truth is that offering bifurcated engagements to your clients, while it's fantastic for them and it's ultimately fantastic for you too, in terms of blowing up your practice, it does come with some challenges. And the 2 key challenges that we see are, first, cash flow. And the example that I like to give folks is that if you file 10 cases per month and offer your clients post-petition payment terms, you're going to top out at about 120 cases that you were managing payments on. And, if you're charging, $2,000, let's say, to use a round figure for those bankruptcy cases, you have quite literally hundreds of thousands of dollars of capital that's outstanding there that you're waiting to be paid on. But I'll tell you what, your creditors, the folks that you pay rent to, the folks you pay at Westlaw or at Lexis, they expect to be paid today. And so our financing offers a solution to that, where you probably can't go out and talk to a bank, because when you talk to the bank, they want to know what your collateral is. And it turns out that it's payment arrangements with a bunch of people who just filed bankruptcy, and traditional bankers just don't see a way to make that work. But we do. We understand the need for you to have some cash flow. Then Matt, maybe you talk about the payment administration piece of it, because that's equally compelling.
Yeah, to follow Dan's example, so if you're filing 10 cases a month, by the end of the year, you have 120 active cases that are making payments to you. And we offer multiple payment options to debtors, so they can pay us weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever is good for them. But I guess to use maybe more of an extreme example is if they're paying you weekly, those 120 cases, they're making 50 payments. You're collecting over 500 payments a month that you have to administer. You obviously got to pay the merchant fees on. And it's a lot of work to follow up with, and most practices aren't really set up for that. But we take care of all that headache for you. We have a full staff that can deal with all those payments. We like dealing with the debtors and helping them adjust payment plans, whatever needs to be done to help them make all their payments. But again, we'll take that off of your plate, so it's not your problem.
Yeah, so those 2 key headaches we saw. And the other thing that we talk to attorneys about every day across the country is that there's always trepidation about, taking the time to change the way your practice works. And Matt talked about disclosures in your engagement agreements and disclosures to the court, which are super important. We've done the work for you. We've consulted with outside ethics counsel. We've got the economy of scale to do the research that's necessary to figure out, what documents you need to make this work. And then Matt's also able to leverage his experience in marketing zero down to attorneys to provide you with concrete guidance about how to shift your marketing approach so that you really can pour on the gas, as we talked about in the 4th shift, and use these tools to blow up your practice. So really what we offer, again, with this 5th shift is a turnkey solution for you, so that once you see the power in offering zero down bankruptcy terms to your clients, You don't need to do what Matt did and spend months and months trying to figure out a solution, develop the forms, figure out the cash flow problems and so forth in order to get going with this. We can quite literally get you going with this in a matter of days. Once you reach out to us and say, hey, Dan and Matt, we're ready to go.
Yep. One thing I was thinking about, oftentimes we get the question about, unbundling. It comes up, and we were just talking about bifurcation. And I think it's important to understand that bifurcation is not unbundling. They're really two completely different things. People do confuse them sometimes. We talk to attorneys every day, and it seems like almost every day someone will be like, well, what about unbundling? They don't allow it in my jurisdiction. So how can I possibly bifurcate my case into pre-petition and post-petition work? And Dan always has a good example for explaining unbundling. So I'll turn it over to Dan.
Yeah, sure. So unbundling, for those of you who maybe haven't heard about the concept, is a policy that kind of came out of some kind of unscrupulous attorneys holding themselves out, as folks who could help debtors with Chapter 7, and then very kind of surreptitiously limiting their engagements to less than the typical bundle of services that it takes to really adequately represent someone in a Chapter 7, and doing that without the client's understanding that it was happening. Yeah. And so this doctrine, kind of came up in order to protect debtors from unscrupulous attorneys. But the idea with unbundling is that if you think of the analogy of the bundle of sticks that we all learned in property class our first year of law school, there are certain services that are just fundamental to a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. And if you think about that as a bundle of sticks, the folks who are violating the unbundling doctrine are secretly taking a chunk of those sticks out of the bundle and kind of hiding it behind their back and saying to the client, I'll represent you in your Chapter 7. And the unsuspecting client doesn't understand that that's not the entire bundle of sticks. Bifurcation, when it's done correctly, is nothing like that, because what you're doing instead is holding out the entire bundle of sticks to the client. You're simply separating it into two hands and saying, this is the pre-petition piece, and here's the post-petition piece. And so again, we've done the work to figure out how to do it correctly. We have the forms, we have the know-how to help you avoid the ethical pitfalls that are out there in order to do this in a way that's supportable, legal, and ethical.
Yep, for sure.
So we made you some promises at the beginning of the presentation. I just want to make sure that we've ticked off each one because we want to hold ourselves accountable to those promises. So the first thing we talked about is that we were going to show you a way to retain 25% more of the clients who meet with you, even when they don't have money. And the answer truly is bifurcation and focusing on the needs that these folks have. I suspect that, the average, attorney who's watching the webinar today probably sees something approaching half the clients that they meet with or talk to on the phone walk out the door because they don't have the money, or because they think there's somebody down the street, who may do things for a few pennies less than you would do. And the solution that we have for you, that turnkey solution, will allow you to retain more of those clients. And the 25% number that we see is based on experience of attorneys all across the country. And candidly, we see attorneys who do much better than that. We have talked to attorneys that implement this solution in their practices and see their engagement rate of folks who are actually qualified to file Chapter 7 get up well into the 90% plus range. Which
because in my practice, that was the number one reason why someone would retain me. I mean, if the client meets with you, they agree with you that filing Chapter 7 is what they need to do. They like you as an attorney. You're both ready to move forward, and then you go, okay, give me $1,500 or $2,000, whatever you're charging, and the client goes, hey, I just told you I'm bankrupt. I don't have any money. What? This doesn't work. I want you to file my case, but I don't have any money. And so you get rid of that objection, because you can now say, not a problem. I have another option for you. I can get your case filed, and you can make some reasonable payments post-petition for a year to pay off your bankruptcy. How does that sound, client? And they're going to say, sounds great.
And that kind of leads into the second promise that we made, which is that we would show you a way to eliminate price sensitivity. So folks who have very little cash or no cash, or maybe you're thinking about the prospect of having to pull money out of that exempt retirement savings account that they have to pay for their bankruptcy, they are understandably price sensitive. So if there is somebody down the road who's willing to offer them services for $100 less or $200 less, they are very likely to get up from your table in your office and go down the street and talk to that other person. And perhaps they even like you and think, I probably would prefer to hire this person, but I need to see if I can do it more cheaply because I simply don't have the cash. But when they get into your competitor's office, the inertia carries them into that engagement in that moment, and they don't ever come back and see you. But when you make this shift in your practice and you start talking about post-petition payment terms and helping them rebuild their credit through our turnkey credit reporting that we offer along with all of our other services, you have the ability to close them that moment and keep them from walking out of your office and talking to your competitor who perhaps isn't as qualified as you, but is going to offer them a slightly lower price than you otherwise would.
Yeah. And we should talk a little bit about fees when we're talking about this, because it comes up a lot in bifurcation. People ask, well, can I increase my fees? Can I charge more if I'm doing this? And we believe the answer is yes, with an asterisk. I mean, your fees have to be reasonable. They have to be justifiable. The fees you're collecting post-petition are only for that post-petition work. So as long as you meet the basic tests, you're going to be fine. Because that is the other way where some attorneys have gotten themselves in trouble with offering zero down. It's the disclosures we talked about earlier, and it's the overcharging. And so, there was a case in California where a woman, at least based on the UST, claimed that she was charging 3 times more for a zero down case than she had been charging for a regular case. I mean, I think everybody's reaction is if you triple your fees, you're going to get the attention of the United States trustee. And that's probably going to be too much. The case is it's not resolved yet, but my gut is that was too much.
Well, so this really has to do with the third promise that we made to you, which is that we would show you how to become an industry leader in your area, differentiate yourself from your competition, and create additional value for your client that would allow you to charge a more premium price for your services. So again, we've talked about the needs of the client that doesn't have cash and the price sensitivity that it leads them to. But when you're able to offer them post-petition payment terms, you get them filed sooner, get them that immediate relief that they need from all those pain points that you're going to talk to them about in the consultation. You give them the ability to make affordable payments over 12 months. You get them favorable credit reporting when they make those payments, so they start increasing, their credit score again after the bankruptcy pretty quickly. You create these additional values for them, and the structure also requires you to do a bit more work. So adopting these shifts in your practice and incorporating the secret weapon of bifurcation really does give you a basis to get out of that price war that you're probably in with your competition and have a very defensible basis, as Matt said, for saying to the U.S. trustee or the court, yes, I'm charging a bit more for a zero down engagement, but it's because I'm creating additional value for the client and I am doing a bit more work to accomplish that. So it gets you out of the price war.
Yeah, and along with that, it goes back to disclosures too. I mean, it's important in a situation if you are charging more for a zero down than you would if they pay you up front, is that your client knows that. Your client needs to understand it's X if I do it this way, it's Y if I file it this way, and you understand the benefits, and they get to make a decision. Because the courts have recognized that if a client understands everything and they're agreeing to it, again, as long as your fees are reasonable, it is okay for you to charge more for that.
Yeah. So the fourth promise that we made to you is that we were going to show you a way to get paid up front even when your clients don't have cash. And at Fresh Start Funding, that really is the core benefit that we offer you, is a way to take advantage of all the benefits that bifurcation offers to your clients and offers you in terms of blowing up that practice and increasing the bottom line revenue that you get every single month without having to deal with the cash flow headaches, without having to deal with the payment administration, without having to reinvent the wheel yourself about how you do these things. We have a turnkey solution for you that will allow you to get paid within days of filing your bankruptcy cases so that you can pay your bills, you can pay yourself, and give the clients the ability to make those post-petition payments that get them on the road to that fresh start today.
Yep. So should we talk again about reiterate the 5 shifts?
Yeah, so let's go through again so that everybody's clear on those 5 key shifts that you have to make in your practice. Matt, you want to lead out?
Yeah, so they discuss, and again, it's, I describe it, I guess, as your initial consultation about making sure you're talking about the benefits to your client, making sure they understand, what's their life going to look like after you file the Chapter 7 bankruptcy for them. But really, I would take it even a step further from here. I mean, that concept needs to go through your marketing. It needs to go from the very first time you or your staff talks to them when they call in and ask for an appointment. I mean, it's really all about, understanding their situation and helping them see, what's going to be the benefit to them, how much better their life's going to be when these creditors are out of the way and they can move forward with their life.
Yeah, in a nutshell, it's about focusing on their needs, not focusing on the legal answer. They care about you satisfying their needs, eliminating the pain that they're experiencing in their life, and getting them back on the road to recovery. And so having the compassion and the sensitivity to focus on what they're looking for, not so much on how smart we all are, is the key to shifting, making that first shift in your practice.
Well, the next shift is to get your clients relief right away. So rather than your traditional model of having them make payments for you to months before you get them filed, you're going to get them out of that sweatbox Dan was describing earlier sooner. So with zero down, our goal is to try to file somebody within a few days. Now you still have to collect the documents from them, you still have to review them, you still have to prepare the documents, but really you and your staff can do that very quickly. So from the initial consultation, set up for them to bring you their paperwork so that you can review it and get their case set up, get them filed just as soon as possible, because that's the best thing for them.
Yeah, so the third shift that you need to make is adopting this bifurcated structure in your practice. And we're here to provide everything that you need in order to do that immediately. But that key shift in your practice is really what we call the secret weapon, because it's the one that addresses their needs and gets them out of the sweatbox today and allows you to get paid upfront even when they don't have the cash. And then once you adopt the other shift that we talk about, which is the turnkey solution we'll talk about in a second, it's a complete package.
Yeah. And the fourth shift is what we call pouring on the gas. And as that might sound a little negative in the sense that you can cause an explosion, but we almost are viewing an explosion in your practice. We want to see you get a lot more clients. And so assuming you're advertising now, you're going to get a lot more out of your advertising dollars. You're going to focus your messages on a zero down or a low down. It's going to bring in, those kind of cases, but it's also going to bring in ones who can pay up front. And you're really going to, get more people coming into your office. You're going to retain more of the ones that come into your office, and your referrals are going to go up.
Yeah, we have seen anecdotally folks spending exactly the same amount of dollars on their marketing, in a pay-per-click campaign through Google AdWords or otherwise, and seeing quite literally double the results in terms of phone calls, direct calendar scheduling, form fills, whatever method you use. We typically recommend phone calls, but we've seen a doubling of that. And then once those folks are calling, we're seeing much higher percentages of them book consultations and show up more frequently.
Yeah.
And then the last piece of the puzzle is that we see folks actually closing engagements at a much higher rate because you're overcoming those key objections of, I don't have the cash today, or I have very little cash and I'm going to have to pull money out of retirement, so I care about squeezing every tiny little penny I can out of you for the fee.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't really do any advertising right now, or maybe are outsourcing it, we will give you a lot of really concrete information about advertising. We're going to help you understand just the whole practice of how you do the Google AdWords, proper landing page for a website, the messaging. It's all really important that it's done correctly, and we'll help you learn how to do that as well.
Well, and really that's part of the fifth shift, which is that turnkey solution we talked about. We're leveraging Nat's experience building truly one of the largest practices in the country into a turnkey solution for you so that you can immediately implement these shifts and take advantage of the economies of scale and the technology that we have as a company that's dedicated to making that fresh start affordable and accessible to everyone by making zero down terms work for attorneys and their clients. And as we talked about, we are going to have folks ready, willing, and able to talk to you immediately after the webinar so that you can get more details about how to get started and how the system really works. And, the most important thing that I can tell you is if you've caught the fire of what we're talking about watching the webinar today, don't let another minute go by without finding out more about how you can make these shifts in your practice, because I will tell you, if you keep doing what you're doing right now, you're going to continue getting the same results. And that's probably not all that attractive to you, and it's certainly not the best that you can do.
Yeah, so it is time to make changes in your practice. You deserve more cases. It's time to get your revenue back up. And it's really simple. It may sound like a lot, but we're here to help you. As Dan said, it's a turnkey solution. You continue with your practice, really the way it's going in so many ways. You're just going to add this as additional arrow in your quiver to help you get more clients.
Yeah, and the truth is that, as we said before, even though there's a lot of talk about the economy shifting again, the fact is that filings are still at all-time lows across the country. It's probably the case that some of you who are listening today are in districts where the filings are still dropping, as a matter of fact. And you're fighting harder and harder for that limited market share in order to keep your practice open. This is a way for you to help more people, which is something that I think is certainly important to us, and I think it's probably important to all of you who chose to go into an area of consumer law, but be able to do it more efficiently, more effectively, and it's really kind of the rising tide that floats all boats, or the win-win kind of scenario where you can help more people and help yourself in the process by growing your practice.
Yep. Yeah, it really is the whole basis, is helping more people.
Yeah. So again, our mission at Fresh Start Funding is to make a fresh start affordable and accessible to everyone by making zero down work for attorneys and their clients. And we are eager to help you grow your practice, make more money every month than you're making currently, not fall into the price competition that you're probably right now struggling with, differentiate yourself from the competition, and we've got folks that are going to be standing by to help you do that. So there are a couple different ways that you can get in touch with us to move forward with this. We've got a toll-free number that you can call that I think will come up at the end of the presentation. It's 800-915-6545. That's 800-915-6545. And then at the conclusion of the webinar, we're also going to have a calendar come up on the screen for you so that you can directly book a time that's convenient for you to have one of our representatives call you and talk to you in more detail about how Fresh Start Funding can help you triple your bottom line revenue in your practice by adopting these 5 shifts.
Yep.
So thank you very much for attending today. We look forward to talking to you and to partnering with you to improve the lives of your clients at the same time that you're improving your own. Thanks, and have a great day.
Thank you.